As part of my academic and research work, a key idea that has shown up over and over again when I have engaged with issues of race and of whiteness is the idea of social location. Social location refers to the idea that society has a lot of intersecting, interlocking parts that make it function. And to effectively understand an issue, it's important to locate it within this broad network of things. It's also important to recognize that when we talk about social location, it's more than just a naming process. We're not just detailing characteristics. We want to talk about how those characteristics shape a given thing, a given person, a given collective of people, a given ideology. For example, when I state that I'm a white cisgender man in the South African context, beyond just naming those categories that have been somewhat imposed on me, that I've somewhat bought into, that I've been socialized into, more than just naming them, how do they shape how I live and move through the world? If I want to think about, for example, gender-based violence, one of the things that was important in my video where I spoke about gender-based violence was for me to recognize and acknowledge that I move through everyday life largely privileged by my positionality, unaffected by these things to a great extent. And so it's important for me to recognize that and to change how I think about the world and change what I think is normal and change how I operate every day in society based on my positionality. When talking about issues of whiteness as it related to Donald Trump, it was important for me to also recognize that I'm talking about whiteness from the place of being privileged and benefited by whiteness. And so when Trump speaks and invokes whiteness in whatever way or form, it's important for me to push back because he's speaking in some sense on my behalf. I think social location as a conceptual tool gives us two simultaneous possibilities when it comes to any social issue. One is that it gives us the chance to think critically about our own position in society and how that shapes both how we think and how we live, how we operate from day to day, knowing that these things are entangled with each other. And simultaneously, it gives us the chance to think about what are the gaps in my understanding of society because of my social location? What worldviews don't I understand? What experiences don't I understand? How can I better understand in issues of social injustice the experience of people most othered, most harmed, most excluded because of a given social issue? Social location helps me to think about me, helps me to think about us, and helps me to think more plurally, to think about those who I have not always considered or whose experiences I need to consider to better understand what is happening in South Africa.